Hi guys, welcome back to my program. Notice anything different? You see, the backdrop is a gallery of children's paintings. So now you know the topic of my next few segments. It will be on children. And the brainwave in putting up a gallery of children's paintings is from my sister-in-law, Michelle Labibi. And her concept is children's ideas must be given respect. And I agree with her. Why are children the most important citizens in this land of creativity? In my first segment, I had told you that the children are the most creative on this planet. And some of you may be wondering, how come? How can a child be the most creative? What does the child know? Well, let me tell you a story about a scientist, about George, and the research that he conducted. You see, George worked for NASA. NASA is America's space agency. Being a space agency, they deal with outer space, with planets. A lot of things are unknown. And the kind of people they hire are quite extraordinary. They have to be. And it was Dr. George's task to hire these people, to recruit them. To do so, he had to be very selective. He created a creativity test for all the scientists and engineers to undergo. He did it for some years. But in 1968, he was curious because he wanted to see how it worked on children. The same test, he conducted it on 1,600 children. About 5 years later, when the same children were 10 years old, he retested them. And another 5 years later, when the children were 15 years old, he retested them again. But he was not quite satisfied with his findings. And so in 1985, he conducted a test on 280,000 adults, 25 years and older. And these were his conclusions. In 1968, when he tested 1,600 5-year-olds, 98% of them achieved highly creative status. However, when he tested them again when they were 10 years old, only 30% achieved that status. And again, when they were tested when they were 15 years old, only 12% achieved that status. And that's when Dr. George was not satisfied. And in 1985, when he conducted it on adults, only 2% were in that category of highly creative. And that's when he came to the conclusion that as children, they are the most creative. You see the comparison? 98% of 5-year-olds, when they went through that test, 98% of them were highly creative. The same test conducted on 280,000 adults, only 2% were in that category. His conclusion was that non-creative behavior is learned. From the time we leave our childhood to the time we reach adulthood, we lose our creativity little by little. So some of the next segments, I will go through what we are undergoing after childhood that is affecting us, that is depleting us of our creativity. We'll explore it a little more, especially with studies done by a lot of researchers, about a lot of academics and a lot of scientists out there. Let me conclude this session with another story. This is a story that I love. It is by Sir Ken Robinson, who related it in his book, The Element. Sir Ken is one of my favorite thinkers, and a lot of his ideas are ideas that I echo. And he was a very strong believer in the creativity of children. And this little story, it's a story told by a school teacher, a teacher who teaches 6-year-olds. And she was relating this story about one little girl. She was not very attentive in most of her classes. except at drawing. She was very keen, very passionate. And in one of the classes, for 20 minutes, this child was head down, hands wrapped, and she was drawing. And the teacher was so intrigued. She said, "What is this girl doing?" The teacher went up to her to find out. She said, "What are you drawing?" The little girl never lifted her head. She was drawing, "I'm drawing a picture of God." The teacher was taken aback. She was intrigued. She said, "But nobody has seen God." The child went, "In a minute they will." Oh, I love this story. I really love it. You know why I love it? Because at some point in my life, I was like that. So were you. Where has it gone? Why have we lost this innocence, this fearlessness, this imagination that we possess? What happened to us? And this story is always very inspiring to me. It's a wonderful story. And with that, let me say goodbye till our next segment.